Hi, I'm Tara Barnes, health educator for CalFresh Healthy Living at the Children's Collective. And today I'm going to introduce you to a new curriculum that we're using for our families called Healthy Happy Families, which is geared towards preschool age children. And the focus is to help parents develop tips and tools to encourage their children to eat healthy and to be engaged in physical activity. There are 8 lessons, and today is the first lesson, and it is called Begin Healthy Habits Early. And so I'm going to walk you through some really good tips and some information that I hope you will find useful as you teach your child how to eat healthy and how to be active on a daily basis. So moving forward, I am going to stop sharing my screen so you'll only hear me. And then at the end, I will return to do a little activity. But I do hope you find this information useful for yourself and for your family, and that you enjoy some of the activities that we provide in the lesson for you to do at home. So we will start now, and I'm going to stop sharing my video. So before we begin, I want to ask how many food groups are in my plate? For those of you who are not familiar with my plate, it is the guidelines for Americans that shows our portion size of how much we should eat. And so it used to be the food pyramid, but now it's the My Plate guide. So the question is, how many food groups are there in my plate? With this being virtual, I will go ahead and give you the answer after I give you a few seconds to look at the choices. So are there 8, 5, 3, or 4 food groups? And the answer is 5. And I am going to go into each of those food groups in the following slide. So with my plate, you want to make half your plates fruits and vegetables. Make half the grains that you consume whole grains, and that includes whole wheat bread, pasta, rice, etc. Also, it includes protein, and that includes beans, peas, soy, nuts, and seeds. And then also dairy, including milk, yogurt, cheese, and calcium fortified soy milk. So as you can see, the My Plate image here on the right side kind of breaks down what those food groups look like on our plate and what they should look like as far as portion size. So I'm going to break each one down briefly just so you get a little better understanding of the My Plate and how it's set up. And then I also would encourage you to visit choosemyplate.gov, where you can get more information on the actual My Plate food groups. And it also breaks down like nutrients, the amounts of servings, that you would need on a daily basis for your age, for your gender. So I would highly recommend visiting choosemyplate.gov for more information. But in the meantime, I'll go ahead and go over a little bit of information for each of these food groups. So for fruits, fruits can come in any fashion, whether it's fresh, frozen, canned, or dried. You can also eat it whole, of course, or cut up, cooked, or pureed. And it also includes 100% fruit juice. One thing you want to do or consider when you're eating fruits is that you want to make half of the daily recommended amounts should come from whole fruits rather than just consuming 100% fruit juice alone and counting that as your fruit intake. So even if you are having 100% fruit juice, try to incorporate whole fruit or another whole fruit as well. Fruits are pretty much low in fats, sodium, and calories, and they contain no cholesterol. So when you're consuming fruit, you don't have to worry about cholesterol issues. And they also contain lots of nutrients, vitamins and nutrients that are very essential to our overall health, including vitamin C, folate, potassium, and fiber. As also fruit, again, with the fruit being from 100% fruit juice, just be sure that when you are purchasing 100%, fruit juices, you want the label to say 100% fruit juice. That helps to ensure that 100% of the fruit is actually in that container of juice. Okay, so we'll move on to grains, making half of your grains that you eat whole grains. And as you can see on the My Plate image, the grain section is a little larger than fruits. And that's because whole grains are really, really good for us. And the more we can eat them, the more beneficial they are for our overall health. And so with grains, they are often low in calories and fats. And they also contain nutrients like fiber, complex carbohydrates, B vitamins, and minerals, including selenium, magnesium, and iron. Whole grains is what you really want to look for on your ingredients list, as well as in the packaging of any items that you buy that are whole grains. Whole means that it's the whole actual grain kernel that's used, and that includes the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. So it's the entire whole grain. That also contains, fiber and the overall health benefits that we really need. So when you're purchasing bread, pasta, oatmeal, rice, you want to make sure that it's whole so that way you're getting the most benefits. When it comes to, I will jump down to the green over for vegetables. You also want to make sure that vegetables, that you eat them in a variety. So vegetables are kind of spread out in like subgroups because there's so many. So there's dark green vegetables, there's red and orange vegetables. There's also beans, lentils, and peas also can fall under the vegetable group. And there's also starchy vegetables such as potatoes and corn that you can use. And then there's a variety of other vegetables like onions and mushrooms and so on and so forth. But vegetables contain a variety of health benefits, including being low in calories and fat, having vitamins A and C, potassium, fiber, and folate. So again, you want to try to eat a variety of vegetables. The more you can, you know, change it up or incorporate a variety, the more beneficial it would be for your overall health. And again, vegetables can be consumed in their whole form, cooked, pureed, steamed, however you want to eat them, canned, fresh. So you have that ability to consume vegetables however you choose. Now we're going to move over to protein. And protein is our uh, meat, poultry, seafood, eggs, peas, beans, lentils, nuts, and seeds, as well as soy products. Uh, Protein can also include saturated fat foods, which are the ones that kind of increase our cholesterol. So you want to try to limit those, and those include food items such as fatty cuts of meat like pork, beef, lamb, hot dogs, bacon, those high fatty foods. You want to try to consume those in the least amount. Probably at least it's recommended like less than 10% of your daily calories should come from these type of highly saturated fatty foods. Salmon is also a good source of vitamin D. So salmon, can really help benefit your vitamin D intake if you so need it. And lean cuts of meat would be recommended. So you want to try to find lean cuts of beef, lean cuts of pork if you consume those meats. Protein also, again, like I mentioned, includes lentils, beans, peas, and seeds and nuts. So if you are on a vegetarian or vegan diet, you have those options to consume other foods besides meat that can help satisfy your intake of protein. And then lastly is dairy. And dairy again contains, includes milk, cheese, yogurt, and calcium fortified soy milk. However, it does not include things like butter, sour cream, and cream cheese, as those items typically have less calcium and higher fat content. So if you do eat those, it's recommended that you at least have low fat or fat-free cottage cheese and sour cream, but they do not provide the amount of calcium that other dairy products such as milk and cheese will provide. If you are on a diet or if you don't consume dairy, um, typical dairy, milk, cheese, yogurt, you may opt to find other ways of consuming dairy, getting calcium through items such as almond milk or cashew nut milk. So a different form of dairy or non-dairy item may be more beneficial. So with that, that's just a little overview of my plate. If you look at the image, you can see that both vegetables and grains are the larger portions. So, try to eat more of those two food groups if you can. Protein and fruits are a little smaller. And so you want to consume those, but you want to consume, lean cuts of meat if possible, and more whole fruits if you can. So again, that's just a little bit about my plate. I would highly recommend again that if you would like more information to visit choosemyplate.gov, where you can go even more in depth on each food group, and you can learn exactly how many servings you or your family would need on a daily basis. So going into today's lesson, the objectives are that parents will understand their important role in establishing healthy habits for their children. And also, parents will identify things that they can do to help their children adopt healthy habits. Just looking in this picture in the slide, you can see that it seems like the parents have already established healthy habits for their children by having bowls of fruits, fresh fruit around, and it looked like they're about to drink some orange juice or juice of some sort. So look like the parents are already establishing these healthy habits within their children, so that their kids can make healthy choices as they continue to grow. So going into the introduction for this lesson, parents are their children's first and most important teachers. When parents are nurturing and caring, children feel safe to explore and learn about the world. Parents' actions and attitudes are important in creating healthy environments for children's development. When parents provide an environment in which their children feel safe and their needs are met, children will develop autonomy and independence. And that means that the child will be able to act willingly and by free choice. And when this happens, the children are able to learn how to act responsibly and regulate their own behaviors. So looking at this slide with the mama duck and her ducklings, it seems like mom has already established a sense of safety for her children. And so they're now at a place where it looked like they're able to kind of wander off and maybe play in the water because they've already have been provided with having a safe environment from their mom and have built up autonomy and independence to kind of explore. And so even for us human parents, it's important that we establish those safe environments for children to feel safe and to be able to explore and gain independence. So for children, they will develop independence when parents give them a chance to make choices and to do things on their own. And that even includes when it comes to eating. So it may take several tries for a child to like a particular food item. So introducing them to, say, broccoli. If they don't like it on the first try, don't give up. Keep introducing it to them, maybe in a different way. But you may have to introduce it to the child 10 times, 12 times. It could fluctuate. But it does take time for a child to actually adapt to a new food. And the same thing for just learning new skills. So you don't want to just assume that because they're a certain age that they're able to do something. You want to give them opportunities to try things out, learn from if they come across challenges, and just be there to support them to continue to thrive with those skills. One thing this curriculum likes to highlight is that parents should avoid making excessive demands on their children or criticizing their efforts, as this can lead to shame and doubt within the child. So try to avoid making a child feel bad if they're unable to do a certain task, if they're not able to um, pour, liquid into a cup just yet, if they're having a hard time using a spoon to serve themselves. So not criticizing them or giving them too many demands to do so many things at one time, as this can overwhelm a child and cause them to feel frustrated. Do things in small steps for them so that way they can gradually build upon each skill and become more successful at those skills. You want to make this opportunities a learning opportunity as well as a fun opportunity for the kids to learn that even though we make mistakes, we can learn from them and we can grow from them. And it's nothing wrong with that. So again, if you can, try to avoid making negative comments or excessive demands on your child to avoid them feeling shame and doubt. And instead of that, I would suggest you honor your child's effort and provide respect, just respect their choices, respect them for being able to have the ability to build their independence and their sense of competence. You want them to feel confident in being able to do tasks or to accomplish a task. So, praise them when they're able to scoop, something out, scoop or dish out their own food, or if they're able to pour their own milk, you know, re- praise them. I think that helps to really build a child's uh, sense of confidence. So our message for this lesson is to create healthy habits that will last a lifetime. So early childhood is the time when habits are formed, and those habits can be both good and bad. Children develop their attitudes and eating habits from the people in their lives, and that includes parents, childcare providers, family members, and friends. And young children are eager to learn, so usually they will imitate what they see others doing. Role modeling is also important in teaching healthy eating and physical activity patterns in children. Children naturally know how much to eat unless they're urged to eat more. And I would like for you to pay attention to the bold underlined words that you might see in the upcoming slides, just to, they're used just to highlight the importance of incorporating healthy eating and healthy physical activity into your child's daily life, but also understanding the the control, because parents have control over certain things, even and a child actually has control over certain things, which I'm going to go into soon. It is up to the children to choose how much to eat from what is being offered, and it's up to parents to decide what foods are offered to their children and when and where those items are being offered. So we're going to dive into that right now, well, in just a few seconds. Um, Parents also play an important role in establishing their children's health and nutrition habits. So parents are children's first and most important teachers, and children learn by watching their parents. So as you can see in this slide, the picture that's depicted here, it looks like, I would just say, mom and daughter are perhaps baking. Not only is this an opportunity for them to bond, but it's also giving the child um, an opportunity to expand in her learning. So she's learning about math and science just by perhaps mixing, stirring uh, items, measuring things perhaps, and just watching your mom do certain tasks. So this is a great opportunity to get kids not only connected with the parent, but also learning a variety of skills, as well as developing a love for food and for cooking. Parents provide the structure for their child's growth and development, and they also provide their young children with choices regarding food and physical activity. So those are some things just to keep in mind. So just to have you think about this, this would have been an activity had this been a more uh, in person or actual live Zoom class. But I just want you to think of some healthy habits related to food and eating that you hope your children will develop. In this slide, it looks like this particular child may have been exposed to healthy eating habits as he or she are choosing to reach for some strawberries. So those are the habits we want to develop. We want to see our kids reaching for healthy items and making healthy choices over non-preferred items. So this child seems like they're going to enjoy some nicely red looking strawberries. So for your parents' role, sometimes parents don't know how to help their children establish healthy eating habits and aren't sure where their roles should be. So there are key elements in there are key elements in feeding children and the shared role of both the parent and the child. So the parent's role is that parents decide what food is served. And this is the slide I'm talking about when I have the bold underlined words. So as parents, you decide what food is served. You also decide when food is served. Is it served at a particular time of the day? Is it served, breakfast, lunch, dinner? Are there snack time? You choose when the food is being served. You also choose where food is served. Is it served at the dinner table? Is it served, everyone sitting, in the living room space together? Are you going to go out to eat? Or are you going to go to a relative's house to eat? So you, as a parent, you have that control as to what, when, and where food is served. Now, for the child also has a role in their food consumption as well. And it's pretty important because children are able and have the ability to decide how much to eat. They know when they're full, and so therefore they know whether or not to eat. So some kids you may eat a lot at one point, then they choose not to eat. Their appetite may actually decrease because they're growing. So they're with their bodies growing constantly. Their consumption of food may also fluctuate, but the child knows when he or she is full. So it's a good thing to remember as a parent is to try to avoid forcing them to eat more or to overeat if they're telling you that they're full, because that is their internal body is telling them that they're full. So it's better to just listen. If they're not ready to, if they don't want to eat anymore, then don't force them to eat anymore if they choose not to. So another important aspect of implementing healthy eating and physical activity habits in children is working together as a family. So healthy growth is a balancing act, and parents and children need to work together to make healthy choices, and that way it can benefit everyone in the family. So here are some ways that you can work together. You can give children healthy choices. So for example, if you have for snack time, maybe you want to have you're offering your child some healthy snacks. So maybe they can choose out of, some chopped up pineapple or some apple slices. So they have two choices and they have to choose out of those two as to what they want, but they're both healthy choices. So that's a good example for that. Help children pay attention to their body signals for hunger and fullness. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, children know when they're full, just like we do as adults. So pay attention to that. If they're showing signals that or signs that they're full, no longer eating, they're pushing their plate away, they're kind of refusing to, engage in their meal any longer, then that's a sign that they're either full or they're just no longer hungry. So it's best to not force them to eat anymore, as that can lead to them overeating and kind of developing an unhealthy relationship with food. And also let children help prepare family meals. That's a great opportunity for parents and children to not only connect, but for a child to really be involved in the preparation of a family meal. And it also increases the likelihood that they'll eat the food because they were a part of the preparation. They know what went into the meal, or they helped select that particular dish, or some ingredients that went into that dish. So the more that they can help, the better it is that they'll be more likely to eat the food. Some ways that you can help your little one engage in cooking meals, if even if they're really young. Some kids can, maybe they can mix, they can help wash, some produce, they can help sort items, you can have them sort the ingredients out, you can have them maybe pour, liquid from a pitcher to a bowl. So there's a variety of things that they can do that are safe and that are age appropriate. And some things that you can do as parents, one is to be a role model. If your child see you eating healthy foods and being physically active, more than likely they will too. So eat healthy foods. Encourage your child to eat healthy foods. Drink water. Encourage your child to drink water. When they see you doing that, more than likely they're going to try it as well. Praise your child with words and not food. Avoid using food to reward, punish, or soothe your children. You don't want to create an unhealthy relationship with between your child and food, or where they see food as a negative thing. So just trying to avoid that. Just praise them with words. Avoid using food. Eating together as a family is really important. Have your children come to the table for all family meals. Make that an opportunity for you to come together, have positive, fun conversations, talk about your day, make a pleasant atmosphere so that everyone can come to the table and have a nice family discussion or just moment together. Again, making it pleasant. Children eat better when they're happy. So try to avoid negative conversations at the dinner table, or try to avoid scolding at the dinner table. Maybe establish some table manners ahead of time so that your child develop those manners early on, and so they know what to expect when it's time to come to the table to eat. But think about positive things you can talk about, fun topics that you can discuss, or interesting topics you can discuss versus negative. Um, that way you can avoid making an unpleasant meal time, and you can avoid your child not being interested in eating. Avoid skipping meals, as skip meals can lead to overeating later in the day. So I would suggest that if you're going to go out with your child for the day, and you have to run some errands, it will be a good idea to prepare and pack some healthy snacks, some crackers and peanut butter, or apple slices, bananas, whatever you have, and water, so that way they're not hungry, throughout the day, that they're actually eating something. So that way, when it's actually time to have your full meal, the child won't overeat. And also let your child serve themselves, age appropriately. There's, a lot of things that you can do to engage your child in being able to serve themselves. So even if you have a young one, a little one, you can start showing them how to serve themselves by having food, say some rice in a bowl, and showing them, guiding them through how to scoop with a spoon, a large spoon, and dishing it onto their plate. Letting them serve themselves teaches them to make their own food choices, and it helps to prevent them from overeating because they're putting how much they want on their plate. They're able to control that. So when you give them opportunities to make choices, that helps them to build a more positive relationship with food. And so now we're kind of getting towards the end of our lesson, but here's an at-home activity that you can do together as a family, and it's planning a meal together. Planning a meal with your children is a fun way to show them how to select healthy foods. What you will need for this activity are some markers or crayons, paper plates, just those few items, or a couple of items. And what you will do is you will help your child draw a picture of a healthy meal that he or she would like to eat. Encourage your child to select foods from each of the food groups. That helps to make sure that you're getting a variety of foods from all the food groups. For an upcoming family meal, try to serve some of the foods that your child drew, and then talk about your child's choices. What foods did they select, or what ingredients did they select, and why? So make it a conversation, make it an activity that's fun and engaging, and that helps to build that child's outlook or positive outlook on making healthy food choices. So we are now ending our lesson, but before we do that, I like to do a little physical activity in my classes. And so this is just a little demonstration of a few movements that we can do just to get our blood flowing a little bit since we've been sitting for some time. So I'm gonna now share my video so that I can do these moves with you. And we're gonna use this cool little spin wheel and see what we land on first. So 5 deep breaths, and you're gonna breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth 5 times, and I'm gonna demonstrate for you. So we'll do these fairly quickly. Let's do it. One more. It's 5. So 5 deep breaths. We're gonna do all of them. Let's see if I can land on all 3. Okay, so now we have 5 shoulder rolls. We'll do 5 forward and 5 back. Shoulder rolls. One more. And 5 back. Okay, 5 feel loose. Okay, one more. Let's see if I can get to the yellow one. There we go. Okay, so 6 overhead arm and side stretches. That's a mouthful, but I'm gonna stay seated. I'm gonna roll back a little bit, and I'm gonna put my hands up, and completing each side is 1 rep. So that's 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so that's it. So just a little physical activity. That was just very, very quick. But if you can incorporate physical activity in your day at some point, that would be great, whether it's, 5, 10, 15 minutes, however you can do it. It all adds up over time. So I'm going to stop sharing my video. And so we also want to share this slide on the Injustice for All document. If you feel that you need to file a discrimination complaint, you can access the form online at the link listed here. You can also call the USDA office to make a complaint at the number provided here, 866-632-9992. Or you can mail your complaint to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, to the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights in Washington, D.C. at the address listed here. And so this concludes our first lesson of the Healthy Happy Families curriculum for our CalFresh Healthy Living program. I hope you found the information provided useful for you and your children, and that you will come back for our next lesson, which we will be posting soon, so keep an eye out. If you want to get more information, please go to calfreshhealthyliving.org for more healthy tips. You can find recipes and a lot of just beneficial information on physical activity and healthy eating. And this program is funded by the USDA SNAP and is an equal opportunity provider and employer. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this lesson and I will see you next time. Thank you.